No, but it is really neat.
I just wanted to make sure.
It is neat, and slowly but surely they're getting me to like the food that they make at their meal. Because every time they have something, Dave, come have lunch with us. Dave, come have lunch with us.
That Indian food is good.
And they could have
Dosa, 20,000 people the last thing I had.
Really? Well, that's good.
It's
Good.
ramen.
We're back on YouTube.
almost like a,
I saw that. Nice.
Okay.
It's something.
but I'm sure it had
It
chickpeas.
says free entry and complimentary food.
And Microsoft. And
It was in our mailbox.
back working.
I haven't looked at there yet.
It's in it. You're probably invited.
Do live stream, which is the software, and YouTube, our live stream and Facebook.
Here.
Oh,
YouTube and
Greater Springfield,
YouTube and
Linwood High School.
Oh.
Dance with your heart and let your feet fall. No. Sounds reasonable.
I have a new employee, but they're just
Why was the planning commission canceled?
he's really seasoned, but not in this case. So he does a lot about telecom, but not this stuff.
Me too.
Dave?
So it's kind of like a new spot.
You got a bad angle. It's not 6 o'clock if you look at it from the angle.
Yeah.
5:59.
5:59.
It's 6 somewhere.
Are you ready, Bernie?
Chief says it's 6.
He's going the same place Les is
He's
tonight.
got a taser.
we got extras.
Yeah,
All right.
always a little off.
Approximately 6 p.m. We'll call this regular village board to order. In the last week, we lost one of our great public servants. So I'd like to take this moment of silence in honor of Wes Barr, who in addition to his years of service as a county sheriff and a substantial community service, especially his work with Toys for Tots, Sheriff Barr was also an officer with our Chatham Police Department from April of 1988 to November of 1991. So if you would please join me in a moment of silence. Also this evening, we have Trenton here with us. Trenton's a Boy Scout, and he's working on his civics badge. And Trenton, if you would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. Public announcements this evening.
Did you skip roll call?
Yes. Madam Clerk, would you take the roll?
Okay. Trustee Mann?
Here.
Trustee Gerger?
Present.
Trustee Charo?
Present.
Trustee Dittmers?
Here.
Mayor Kimsey's here.
Present.
Trustee Mao?
Here.
Trustee Scherschel?
Present.
Public announcements.
This Thursday from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. at the Butler Funeral Home, we're having Giving Day for the Honor Flight. If you're not familiar with that, it's where we take all the veterans to Washington, D.C. to see all their memorials and things at no charge to the veteran. And so this is one of our fundraiser opportunities. So I expect to see each one of you is there and drop in $100 a piece and we'll go woohoo. All right? Thanks.
Thank you. No one signed for public comments this
A
evening.
few more public announcements.
Sorry.
Just pickleball champions, Paul and I just wanted to make sure that was stated out there.
I'd like to,
In the record.
I'd like to clarify this with Trustee Dittmers.
No.
Had told me that the bragging rights
that's
tournament had been
necessary, Arlene.
canceled. And then he claims to be, so we're
We're the only ones that showed up. I think
Yeah.
we're
to
the
the
winners.
canceled tournament. So we'll label that as
The authorities
disputed.
of the tournament awarded.
So you also took last.
Maybe.
All right.
And I have an announcement also, Trustee Dittmers, if you're done.
Yeah.
Okay. Last Wednesday night, I was sworn in as the commander of the Sons of the American Legion. And we have our meetings with the Legion Riders And they are working on a project called Wreaths Across America. And it's a project to get people to buy wreaths, and we can put them on in national cemeteries on all the graves. And if anybody's interested, I've got all the information here. And, they're $15 a wreath, or, corporations can buy bunches too. So, but just wanted to throw that out there. And if anyone is interested, to please contact me.
Anything else? Disputed Champion Churchill, did you have anything?
Not disputed.
Thanks to those who helped with the village cleanup. Appreciate it.
Yes.
All right. No one signed up for public comments on the agenda topics, so I will entertain a motion to put the consent agenda on the table.
I'll make that motion.
Trustee Mann has made a motion. Do I have a second?
Second?
Second by Trustee Churchill. Discussion regarding the minutes or the warrants. Hearing none, Madam Clerk, would you take the vote?
Okay. Trustee Mann?
Yes.
Trustee Gerger?
Yes.
Trustee Charo?
Yes.
Trustee Ditmers?
Yes.
Trustee Mao?
I'll abstain.
And Trustee Churchill?
Yes.
All right. On our intense agenda this evening, we have 10 minutes left. We can discuss disputed pickleball champions, or schedule of meetings is Utility Oversight Subcommittee at 6 on October 14th. The ADA Transition Plan Committee 6 October 15th. Planning Commission has been canceled. The Village Board meets again 6 p.m. on October 22nd. Public Properties and Recreation Commission meeting 6 p.m. November 11th. Chatham Fire and Police Commission meeting November 20th at 5:30. We have no need for executive session during the board. So we'll entertain, or is there any additional public comment this evening? So we have 10 minutes to just chat before our next meeting.
We have a little metal plaque. We thought about bringing it tonight, but
We're going to hang it, off here.
Right, because
How are you gonna share
then they
it?
would have taken more flack about their participation award. In the tournament, they told everybody it was canceled, which is a brilliant strategy. I will give you that. Because you would have lost.
Trustee Detmers played very well.
So now you're going to give lessons, right?
no.
No, definitely not.
Calendar management. All right, hearing no public comment on village business, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Trustee Mao has made a motion. Second.
Second.
Second by Trustee Charo. All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting stands adjourned. And we will convene the committee of the whole at 6:15.
I have a shirt for pickleball. I would have shown up. Think responsibly.
There was over 100 people at that tournament, and from 4 states. They brought it along too. Yeah, big crowd all day.
Would have been bigger if Dewey hadn't told everybody that the Dragon Rights tournament was canceled.
And did you guys play any?
We played 8 games.
How'd you do in those 8 games?
We played 7.
Played 7.
Yeah.
That's right.
You forfeited the 8th because they were at pity.
And
We
how
had to
were
go.
we in those 7 games?
Is that what I understand?
2 for 2. We won 2, lost 5.
But
Sounds like a championship.
Yes.
You lost 5 and you still won?
we won a different tournament.
They were the only team in the other tournament that they're professing their championship status about.
And then because
Then
not
when
enough
they got in a competition with competitors, 2 and 5.
With people traveling from other states.
Yeah.
Who everyone
Seriously.
played at least a year, if not more. We were the only people are like, how long you been playing? A month. And they're like, oh, and you're playing today?
I know what they say about excuses.
Yeah.
Now, what state did you guys play?
State of
Weak
confusion.
State of confusion.
They're more like a territory, not even a legit
It was
state.
it was definitely great to learn. I mean,
Yeah.
because you're playing, against people who play all the time, and so
Were you guys in the 3.0 or 4.0?
3, which I don't know if that was the right category.
No, we're
Were
not.
some of those people probably not 3s?
I don't think. I think they're down. I think that's how it works.
Wasn't any lower, was there?
I think you can do. There's 1s and 2s.
Yeah, one. You go to 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5.
Yeah, and there's always a
Did
half.
they have that in the tournament? That's.
I don't want to
No,
say
I
there
I
were
don't know.
2s.
I
They had
thought
three.
the 3 was the lowest.
Yeah, I thought
picture
they
saw.
had 3 and 5s.
3 through 5s.
What?
Because there was fives playing, there was 3.5s.
You got it. You got it.
That's it.
What'd you say?
What'd she say?
She said it was like playing ping pong on top of the tennis court.
Yeah, and it's scored like that. You got to earn your point.
It's a completely different game.
Yeah.
Sorry?
It's like tennis and ping pong had a baby.
A small, slightly disfigured baby.
Yeah. Yep.
Why did they call
It looks like one,
Similar
but
to a
it's got
wiffle
more
ball.
bounce. Wiffle ball. Yeah, it's a little thicker, but yeah, it definitely looks.
Hurts a little more when it hits you.
Come out and play.
Yeah, you should play.
Wow.
Tennis players do well.
Yeah,
Is what they were playing.
doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
It's all ages.
No, I mean, there's
I've seen
people
pictures.
well into their 70s that beat
Yeah.
this. That beat us.
You probably could have beat them.
I mean, there was a guy that was, I'd say, close to 80.
And he beat you guys?
I don't know if he did or
So
not.
if we go by
This
this,
is what that is.
we want to change
That's a most definitely yes.
this at a certain meeting.
No,
we
but
have to
you just
go
got to stay out of the kitchen.
5 here.
That's a big difference from tennis. So if you're used to playing doubles tennis, you volley at the net.
Specific.
In pickleball, you can't, there's a line
So
of blue
this,
around the
I
net.
took
You
this
can't
from, this is
be in that area.
similar to what Bloomington does.
You got to stay back a little bit, except
That provision
only in situations
is
where
not in
the
there,
ball
but
bounces
I
in
guess
that
10
area, you can
minutes
go
is
in
what's
there. But after
Robert's
that,
rules right now.
can't
Oh, is it?
play.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
so
didn't remember if there was a split.
now the 2 minutes I just made up for rebuttal, but I don't know if that's
It is fun.
true or not. But the 10 minutes is. So
Because different boards, we would always suspend the rules to give everything.
Yeah, they have open nights. I know Wednesdays. I'm not sure which one are beginners, but almost every Saturday morning and Monday, Wednesday.
I'm a fan of Robert's rules.
Isles Park has beginner stuff too.
Yeah,
I think on Wednesdays.
they have a Facebook
Oh, are they done for the year?
that posts when they have different clinics going on.
But
On
Robert's
the
rules
Chatham
have rules for
pickleball.
small boards, so I specifically, because under Robert's rules,
You'll have to go to their Facebook page. It's all on there.
charity,
Facebook. Go to Facebook.
and
Friends of Pickleball.
with the small board,
Friends of
Friends of
pickleball.
Friends of Chatham Pickleball. Yeah, and make sure it's Chatham, Illinois. That way you're not driving to Chatham, Wisconsin.
Chatham, England,
New
yeah.
Jersey.
I was like, why is Paul sending me up to Wisconsin?
Yeah.
Playing that tournament that was canceled.
Yeah.
February 1967, I realized there was another Springfield, and it wasn't Springfield, Illinois, it was Springfield, Missouri.
There's more than one other. There's
19?
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause I remember the Simpsons
thing
competition
was a big
happened.
deal.
Yeah.
Nobody knew which Springfield it was.
Springfield, what, Oregon?
Massachusetts.
Vermont?
There's 19.
Yeah.
Vermont's the one that won it, the
Half the
competition.
state
Yeah.
got one almost.
Yeah,
It's a lot of Springfields.
Movie that came out, I think.
yeah, it was
Yeah,
the
it
Simpson
did.
movies.
They debuted the movie.
I was the second person in line for tickets to that.
That's quite the accomplishment.
You know, I camped out all night on the sidewalk for like 12 hours and I got my Simpsons movie ticket.
You honestly camped out 10 to 12 hours?
I did 10 to 12 hours.
So what'd you have with you? What do you take when you camp
Well,
out?
so my cousin came out, we brought a soccer ball, played soccer on 7th Street.
That was probably worth it.
That was, anybody watching that
I
was,
sat for 12 hours just to see that.
I heard they're coming out with
And not gone to the movie.
well, the movie was awesome. I still watch it all the time, but I grew up with The Simpsons. That's,
It's now the longest running show in history.
it is.
So it debuted in Springfield,
No.
No, it debuted.
Vermont. There was an online competition. That's
Yeah, I
what,
remember that.
yeah. And
It was, I knew it
Because
was
Mr. Burns was,
It was.
Renfro.
Renfro, and, they had all these different things. Kent Brockman was,
Don Hickman.
Don Hickman, yes, yep. Yep,
Clinton was the power plant.
yes.
we really made sense.
We did.
They had Shelbyville and was their rival.
Like Shelbyville, yep. And the Senators were in there.
We made way more sense.
And Adam West.
It should have been us.
Yes.
Vermont just had a bunch of IT people that were able to figure out the algorithm and just stuff the
Flooded
ballot.
the
They
ballot.
traded maple syrup for the premiere.
That was one of the smaller states, Pete.
Yeah.
town it is? Vermont?
Everybody knows it was Springfield.
Of course, Mayor Daley was, Mayor, what's his name?
We got that.
What season is it now? Like,
There's
34?
there's Mayor Quimby and
yeah.
Mayor
Oh,
Quimby
Adam
and Mayor
West was on
Daley?
Family Guy, yeah.
Yeah.
Also Batman.
Well, no, we were talking about Adam West being.
Comic book guy, yeah.
You're close.
How long ago was that?
6:13.
2007.
It was a long time.
2007,
ago?
he's got it all here, whatever the facts they want. Vermont is where it premiered.
Is it just his Excel spreadsheet where he's got all information on it?
Random
Random.
Family's evaluation of every pizza joint in Chatham.
And,
Family history is all in an Excel spreadsheet.
and potato chips.
Correlated,
They went through all
searchable.
the pizza joints and ranked those as a family.
Not just the rank and order, but also there's like
Each kid had their, yeah.
like cheesiness.
He's got macro tables built into it.
And we're not even talking about the pivot.
Where are you going tonight, sir?
6:14.
He started us a minute earlier.
Having a
than
public
us,
conversation.
Call to order. Can I
Ish,
get roll call?
6:15-ish.
Okay. Trustee Mann.
Here.
Trustee Gerger.
Present.
Trustee Charo.
Present.
Trustee Detmers.
Here.
Mayor Kimsey.
Present.
Trustee Mao.
Here.
Trustee Churchill.
Present.
Any public comments on agenda topics? Okay. Can I have a motion to bring the consent agenda forward?
I'll make that motion.
Trustee Mao,
I'll second.
second by Trustee Mann. Any discussion? It's to approve the minutes of August 13th and September 10th.
Just 1 minute adjustment on August 13th. I don't know if you want to pull it up or if you just want to write it down.
What do you want?
August 13th minutes.
You want me to pull it up?
It doesn't matter. It says additionally, the ordinance will increase park fees. I just want to say modify park fees because some park fees went down.
Instead of increase, modify. Okay.
Yep. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. No old business. CMT engineering updates?
Playoff beer is a tough one being a Cubs fan, though.
It could get really shaggy.
It's not going away.
Yeah, there's a lot of beardless guys though for what, 100 and some odd years though?
There are. So a couple of items that I have, go through this pretty quick. Start off some drainage improvements there north of Carroll's Point, some rough grading to prevent some of the flooding that's been occurring in that location and kind of diverting it around the park area and then discharging it down to Polecat Creek. So those activities have begun and that should help out those property owners quite a bit. As follow-up to the West Park drainage, the village was contacted by the EPA and they requested to kind of come around full circle and close the loop on that to just kind of file a permit for those grading activities. So CMT is developing the permit application for that. And we'll submit that on behalf of the village of Chatham just to kind of close the loop on that project. As we talked about last time, looking at letters of credit reduction and claiming on old letters of credit for subdivisions that have either gone default or have not completed the public improvements for a period of time. So this afternoon submitted South Park and South Park Commons to Pat to pursue that through with Sorling to see what kind of activities or claim we can make in those two subdivisions moving forward. Last time North Point subdivision was submitted and ongoing discussions with that developer and bank are progressing. Pat and I met with the Homeowners Association with Glenwood Lake. There's the culvert failure across the roadway connecting to the internal subdivision ponds. Met with the homeowners president and their engineer representatives on that. and discussed some options. They've taken a preliminary look at that, but they're going to develop some engineering plans associated with the repairs. And then, depending on what those are, work with the village in terms of a repair there to open the roadway back up to service and improve the drainage culvert in that location. Motor fuel tax, MFT, repairs continue to be ongoing. Will continue throughout the fall here as weather permits, and then that'll go into winter snow removal and so forth. Finishing up on the flushing program updates for section 1, should have that turned to the village by the end of the month, and then water department will start implementing that shortly after. Other than that, that's all I had. So, any questions?
I have a question. Is there anything further on the chloramines or the water plant?
No. There is, starting next week, we will be installing that one new pump out at the pump station. So instead of the water getting pumped through that area out there, will be pressurized from the plant as well as our above ground tank. So, but they're expecting that to take a week or so.
I had someone ask about at the ground storage tank, there was, I don't know if it was mildew or something on that tank.
There was mildew and mold on that, on the outside.
On top.
And the company, we hired a company, they came out yesterday and started spraying it. And then they let that stuff sit on it for a while, and then they turn around and come in and then spray off what was put on there.
Is that something we need to do on an annual basis, or?
At least look at it once a year, maybe once every 2 years. So we'll keep a handle on it and see.
It's real similar to stuff you see on the north side.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the ground storage tank, just because it doesn't get that afternoon sun, and it's you can always tell communities on what type of water supply that they have based on what their water towers or tanks look like. Anything that's well fed, the water is colder, so that tank is just condensating all the time throughout the summer. So it kind of promotes that mildew growth on the side of the tanks, just because that thing's sweating the whole time. You could drive through any community and you see the bottom of their elevated tanks. If it has a black ring on the bottom of it, it's well. If it's lake water, it'll be clean. So you won't see it as much on the elevated tank just because of the coloring scheme that we had on that. And then also that tank is subjected to sun, all the way throughout the day. So, but there will be a period where we'll have to do, some sort of power washing on the elevated tank at some point. But ground storage tank, based on what we saw this year, will probably just be an annual event, just maintenance.
Okay. Now, is that something we can do, or is that something we have to have hired out to do, or is that something the painters and the tank people, it's in an agreement with them to do that?
Okay. For the tank painters to do it, it'd be very costly just because that's not their area of specialty. So they're going to charge you as if they were painting the tank.
So it wasn't in the agreement?
No.
Okay.
No. This is just regular maintenance activities, that move forward. So, the village hired a power washing company to do that work just because of the, scaffolding and, access around that facility. It's just easier that they have that type of equipment.
This is the same company we hired to do the underpass. Their local company.
So, but for the ground storage tank, it'll probably be an annual event. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thanks.
Village manager update?
Yes.
There we go. We got some topics to talk about this evening. First thing is updates to the employee manual. We have not updated that since, I think it was 2014. So after negotiating 3 union contracts and the changes and stuff that we had with those, we went in and I gave those 3 contracts in our existing personnel manual and had Sortling go through and make everything so that it all worked the same all the way through. So on the administrative content on board docs, you'll see what those changes were. There's a detailed list of items that they went through and changed. There's the before manual and then the after manual with red line stuff. So the plan is next week for us to, or in 2 weeks, to have an ordinance prepared to accept that as our changes. And then after we get that changed, we'll send that off to all 3 of the unions. So
And there is a red line version.
there is a red line version in there. So if anybody has any questions or anything like that, feel free to give me a call sometime over the next 2 weeks. Okay.
Okay.
Next item was,
Can you read it?
let's see, ordinance,
Raffles.
oh, repealing our raffle ordinance. I didn't realize that the village had a raffle ordinance, and then when I looked at it, I voted for it. So one of the local drinking establishments asked about running a raffle, but the rules that the village has in place, you have to be non-for-profit, you have to be a business that's been in, or a not-for-profit that's been around for 5 years. There's a lot of rules and regulations inside this thing that I don't think are needed for the village to turn around. The state and the county have raffle licenses. But then I talked to Jeff, and Jeff thinks that we probably do need to have something in the way of a raffle license. So I don't know whether we need to go back and just strip out most of the stuff that's in there, because we don't even charge for this. But it actually says that, see, you can't give away more than, I think, than $100,000. And then the village has to be responsible to make sure that they pay out. I mean, we don't want all that responsibility on us. So I'd like to be able to say, hey, if you want to come in and get a raffle license, pay $5 and here's your license. Now go to the county and the state and follow their rules. But he's going to look into it some more and give an opinion on where we go on that. But
Yeah, right now I've only been able to do a cursory review of it, but it looks like the same raffle ordinance every community's adopted over the last, I think maybe the law changed in 2011 or something like that. But I'll take a look at it and see if there are changes we can make. The legislature did just update some of the provisions this last winter and during the General Assembly, so it's ripe to be updated anyway. So we'll take a look at that and bring that back.
the next item was, the cannabis ordinance. Our current cannabis ordinance is written off of the rule before the state is changing all the new rules. So we need to update that to match what the state now allows us to write a ticket for. So we just wanted to put that out there, that Jeff is going to be looking at that and putting that information together. And we'll have a sample ordinance out there in 2 weeks for you guys to review.
Yeah,
hopefully in 2 weeks.
2 weeks. So
Yeah.
so right now everybody's on either kind of the opting out or the going through the zoning process for cannabis. As far as I can tell, nobody yet has gotten to the kind of the criminality and the regulations and all those, the penalty phase. And so I think it's going to be a little bit more involved than just, changing the amount that you can be caught with and getting a citation for that. There might be some additional things that the board wants to consider, in terms of the overall, the regulation is not the right word, but the regulation of cannabis once it's legal in January. So I'm working on that. We'll bring that as soon as we've got it. Obviously, the deadline for this is going to be at your December meeting, but hopefully we've got it, much before then. So as soon as we've got that drafted and a good handle on that, we'll get that out to everybody.
Just for those that weren't around when we did it, the state had raised the threshold on possession and given the municipality a ability under the old rules that if Bernard, one of his officers, had a traffic stop or something, found somebody in possession of an amount up to this, he had the option to write a code violation, handle it internally here. The new law with the legalization still provides for a lot of that. The state law sets a lot of what the rules will be, but it seems like what you're able to do is incorporate into your code a mirror of it, so you still have the civil option to write and process those violations through your local hearing officer, which we have. So that would be, if somebody was caught smoking a joint in the park, which is illegal,
Right.
it could be cited as a code violation. Walking down the street using it's illegal.
Right.
Violation. Some of the possession. You got leeway in there. You can't make it more restrictive than what the state law is, but you can kind of mirror what it is.
One of the examples that they talked about at the municipal league conference was also, with the prohibition on kind of open use of it or in the public is the difference between somebody that's on their porch doing it versus in their backyard. And, even if they're in their backyard and a neighbor can see it, that's likely not going to be considered, open use versus perhaps somebody that's on their front porch and, people are walking on the sidewalk. So those are all the types of issues that we'll see how in the weeds we get on it. But that'll be coming soon.
And the state may take that up. The state may take that up in the veto session.
Good, yeah. Although
Clarify.
they've said at this point, they're only going to take up very technical issues.
Right.
So
I think a lot of the technical issues has to do with the smoke-free Illinois, because there's some contradictory language with that. So that might be related to that, though.
Okay.
Last item on there is Trustee Churchill had called me during the week and asked if we could get some discussion points on Robert's Rules of Order. So I passed that on to Jeff also. And on our administrative content there's a PDF of what he's come up with. And if you guys would take a look at that over the next 2 weeks.
This looks very similar.
Well, so these are the rules that the city of Bloomington uses, and I think they've worked out pretty well. I've made some tweaks, obviously, in some of the language, but basically, this kind of calls out some of the more common issues and motions, and says for other rules of procedure, you can fall back on Robert's rules for a guide. I put in there its rules for small bodies because Robert's rules is really designed for large conventions and, doesn't necessarily apply to a group like this. And so they do have rules for smaller public bodies, so those would apply. But this is basically just kind of an overview of your more common motions, to reconsider, to end debate, to, how long do people have to speak, on the board, procedural type issues like that. So this, there's not necessarily one right way or wrong way to do this. I just wanted to provide this for people to look at as a potential alternative to just adopting Robert's rules and, us having to kind of, as Trustee Mal was saying, carry that big thick book around and flip through and deciding to this and that and turn into, a procedural monster when maybe it doesn't have to be that complicated.
When the committee of the whole got formed, I think they
It's under
came up-
Robert's rules.
It's
on there.
Yeah.
They don't
And it has,
follow them.
it has a list of kind of the
We
rules
should.
that they follow there, but
Yeah.
we may have to change that ordinance if we decide to go with this, that
Right.
adopt that for all
And
of
this is
our
very
meetings.
similar. I sit on and used to chair a bunch of commissions and boards, and you're right. Usually they were small boards, and Roberts it can get cumbersome. So this, just looking at it initially, looks good. Because it's similar, it gives us some structure.
Yeah, the motions are fine. One thing you keep in
Yeah.
mind and what has been impressive to be with you guys working on the board, don't limit your free flow of conversation.
Yeah.
Some of the best stuff that you guys have come through that discussion. If you get too in the weeds onto, you can speak 10 minutes and you have one rebuttal period, that's it. You're going to end some of the really good discussions that happen on the boards here. So the free flow nature of what you have been doing.
Well, and I think even if we adopted these as an important issue, we could waive
Yes.
Right.
that rule to have the discussion. I don't think any of us mind having the discussion. I think that's been, like you said. No, I think the discussion's been good.
I think too, though, but if you have rules like this laid out, a lot of times we get muddled in where someone makes a motion and then someone will second it, and then somebody wants to propose an amendment to it.
Right.
And There is a process for going through and doing
It
that.
gives us structure.
You need to look at it and make sure that you are prepared to speak up when it's the right time and not let something fly. And then all of a sudden, well, we still need to vote on the first one, so I think it would be helpful. It really would.
And the number of 5 that's in there that limits each member to 10 minutes. Bloomington's had a separate reference to that I think has since been repealed, so I don't know what their limit was. But I believe the 10 minutes is what is currently in Robert's rules, so that's where that time frame came from.
Yep.
But again, this is all up to how you guys, as the mayor said, how you want to operate and how you want to proceed and those types of things. And also, as you said, Chairman, you can always, suspend these too. So this is really just kind of a first stab to give you guys something to look at.
And I think
as
for
an alternative to just Robert's rules.
most issues we come across, 10 minutes and 2 months will be enough. And on the important ones, we can vote to suspend and we can have the more fruitful discussions.
Thanks for putting this together. I know,
Yeah.
a while back, we put the public comment and rules, and I think it just we already have the Robert's Rules of Order on the committee of the whole, but it just seemed to make sense to have it for the board. I was going to ask, is there any much difference with I saw something about the standard code of parliamentary procedure or Masons, or is it?
I would like to say that Trustee Scherzel's 10 minutes are up. We have Robert's rules here.
You already had your rebuttal.
I actually haven't said anything yet.
That's typical.
So no, I appreciate this too. It just gives us structure.
Oh, yeah.
There was also something in these rules that talk about how the chair can basically kind of rule somebody's comments as not out of order, but kind of
Not germane.
it was even beyond that. It was just more of kind of like almost indicating that they were, getting out of control or too passionate. And I kind of stripped this of any kind of like discretion in terms of that as well. So
Sure.
basically, the idea here is if you want to follow some strict rules, you get your time.
So you're
want to
you're stripping Dave's power? I think
Yes.
we're good with that.
I'd like to make a motion to call to follow the agenda.
No, this is good. So we need to look over it, make comments,
Uh-huh.
get it back to you,
Yeah.
get it to Jeff. All right.
All of them will be out there on the administrative content. And then if I get other stuff from Jeff, I will probably add it in that same spot there, okay?
Okay.
The one last thing that I don't have on there is tomorrow, we're meeting for the second time with the ladies in the utility office and Sherry to go over updates to the customer utility book. We've had changes to that as we've gone over the years, and we've been accumulating all that, and we're ready to update that and get that to you. So,
Could we get a red line version of that too?
oh, absolutely. And we'll have that out there. We won't address it until the next committee of the whole meeting, because there'll be probably a lot of discussion. There's a couple things that are maybe controversial, so we'll
With
put those.
utilities, I don't believe it.
It's hard to believe, but they may be, so,
Will that go through the utility subcommission first?
if you'd like it to.
That way we can have two citizens have discussion on it.
Mhm.
I wouldn't mind that.
It probably won't be ready for the meeting this month.
Whenever you think you could get it ready, let me know and then we can schedule one
All right.
that's, not, if it's sooner.
Do we need,
Anything else?
That's it.
is this something we would move the next one?
Well,
Pending
so
Vote on?
the
Oh,
Utility
pending to
Oversight
discuss this.
Committee discussion, we haven't had it, it's next week. The only thing I'd like to ask is if we could have Lee there.
Who? Oh, Lee?
Yeah,
I'll ask.
all right, just so, we've got the new member who could, be able to ask him some questions if you wanted, and then we may have some questions to report back to the board,
You may have one topic.
maybe.
I know one will not be ready for it, but another one came up today that may come in front of it, but
Okay,
I'll know more tomorrow on it, but.
okay. Is there an ADA Transition Plan Committee update?
Yes, so we have completed the initial draft of the transition plan. And Pat has got that and has given that out to the employees to weigh their opinions and thoughts on the initial draft document. So as it sits right now, we're waiting on feedback on that document. We will be meeting a week from today. So Pat, have we gotten anything back yet?
I haven't. I gave it to Shane and I gave it to Dustin, so I'll tell them that they've got till before the 15th to try to get some
I would
comments.
like to have any of their comments prepared for us at the next meeting on the 15th, so we can discuss those. And then once we see the final version, we'll bring it to this body for discussion. There are some things in there that this group needs to decide, specifically around budgeting. We need to set a percentage year over year of how much of the transition plan we expect to complete year over year, which will be a little bit of a tricky, that's going to be tricky to come up with, but it is part of the document that we set some form of a percentage year over year for completion throughout the village.
Ryan, I think that'll be easier to meet now since we're not doing the branch pickup and the leaf bag. The guys that are doing the streets and the sidewalks, you'd be surprised at how many lineal feet of sidewalk they've done this year. And when they put it back ADA compliant.
Yeah.
So we'll continue to do that. And if the MFT funds increase, then that percentage of how much road and sidewalk and asphalt and everything else we do can increase too. So I think we can set a decent threshold of what we can take care of.
Okay, that's all what we need to talk about. We need to figure that out so we can put it in that document. And then we also need to set a refresh rate on that document to force it to be readdressed, whether it be a year, 6 months. I think a year is probably suitable.
We could put a sunset provision in, couldn't we?
Something along those lines. What all points of discussion that we need to once we're ready to share the entire document.
Thank you.
Would we base it off of if the feds or the state come out with any new ADA compliance requirements and stuff that we would
also need to address that as well. Yes.
Okay.
Not if, when.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Yeah.
All right, thank you. Public Property and Recreation Committee discussion?
Again, next meeting, November 11th, we'll talk about the summer rec program for the second time. Just want to thank all those groups again that helped this weekend clean up the parks and public spaces. There's a lot of them, including a lot of boys from CBSI and Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, all kinds of folks. So thank you there. And I did see a list of items that the CBSI wishes to enact on the parks this fall. So it's a huge list of improvements, and I appreciate their dedication.
Okay. Any public comments on village business? Hearing none. Schedule of meetings, Committee of the Whole, 6:15, November 12th. Is there any reason for a closed session?
No.
No reason. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Trustee Churchill, second.
I'll second.
Trustee Mann, all those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. I think Vern needs a police escort to.
You're